Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, C.J. Vogel. Also joined by our own coach, former high school football coach at Bernie, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian and coached there as well. And was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. Today, you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com. It's our own coach, Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Well, I think, when you predict the game like I did, you just kind of lay back, and just take in the moment.
Coach did feel good about it before anybody else felt good about it. I will say that. Said he didn't know how it was going to happen, but he said the Longhorns were going to win, and then was confident about it too. I accused you of being overconfident, Coach. I apologize about that.
You didn't see this, did you?
Yeah.
We gave him a little of that.
Oh, they get not a little bit of that. They have a lot of that. Lot of belt to you know what. You know what I mean? They put it all up on them. I did not expect him to win that way. I did have him winning. I didn't have him winning that way. So props to Coach, because he did confidently so said the Longhorns would win early on last week. So now the conversation that moves, and we'll talk a little bit about that game, because there are a couple of topics I want to bring up from the A&M game, including getting Coach's thoughts, because I haven't heard from Coach since then. But we will have our man Stevie Lee coming on a little bit later on. But also we'll talk about college football playoff. The Longhorns still keeping hope alive that they'll make the college football playoff. So we'll talk about that. Steve Sarkisian making on the campaign tour, the talking tour, campaigning to get his team into the college football playoff. So we'll get into some of the talking points from Sark that he had. What he had to say today to the media here in Austin, but also all around the national shows as well. We'll get into some of the other discussions, the coaching carousel, which is starting to slow down just a little bit, because we do have a lot of the coaches already who have been selected. So we'll get into the new coaches in the SEC and some of the other national hires from the coaching carousel. But in the meantime, your questions, comments, whatever you guys want to talk about, throw it out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Before we get into my man Stevie Lee, we're going to talk to him. Coach, I just want to get your thoughts real quick, because you did bring it up. And I'll give you just whatever you want to address. But what are your thoughts overall about Texas A&M, since I haven't talked to you since Texas put that Old Testament style butt whipping on the Aggies?
Yeah, well, it was a tale of two halves, of course. Again, I'll go back and say this. I've said it several times since the game. But, that opening drive of the third quarter was critical for the Aggies, and obviously critical for Texas to get a stop. And had A&M been able to have some success on that drive and score even a touchdown, then we would have been back in the same situation we were in, as we talked about in the Arkansas game. Kind of put a gap between us and them and make it hard and make them start pressing. Thankfully, our defense stood up, I think, 4 straight drives to start off the second half. And offense got that running game going. Man, big game March, big game Trey Wisner, big game Steve Sarkeesian. Yeah, love those rivalry games.
Yeah, no, CJ, Coach made me confident. I was like, Coach knows something I don't know, and Coach was so confident about it. I ended up picking the Longhorns in that matchup too. What did Sark have to say today? You were on the media call today. What did Sark have to say today? Anything that you thought you found interesting?
Well, I guess I should have listened to Coach a little bit more before I made my prediction. It's a long weekend for me, but no, look, Sark's making his rounds on the media tour, right? He did SEC, network earlier today. He was on Feinbaum. He did Colin Cowherd show. He's on, another Fox episode, promoting his team. And, that's one of the caps you got to wear if you're a head coach at a power school, is you got to turn into a politician at times, and you got to look out and be your own biggest cheerleader for your program. And, he's doing what, I think any coach would do right now when it comes to making sure that the narrative and, the message around your team is a positive one when it comes to the committee's final decision making. So, look, I don't think it's anything that we didn't know about this team, right? They're 3-2 against top teams. They've played 5 top 10 teams this year. No one else in the country has played more than that, right? No one else in the playoff picture currently has played more than 3. So Texas is very battle tested. They have 3 top 10 wins. No one's done that since 2019 LSU. It's a lot of regurgitation of the same talking points. They're 6-1 in their final 7. You can even go back and look at that Florida loss and say, how different would it have been if Malik Muhammad was playing in the one game basically all year that Florida was able to utilize freshman phenom Dallas Wilson, right? That's the battle that Texas is having to fight right now. So when fully healthy, I don't think there's any question at all that Texas is a top 10 team in the country, right? They've obviously put enough skins on the wall to prove that. Problem is, there's a lot of teams right now with cases to be in the top 10. Sark certainly making it known that he feels like the Longhorns believe that they should be there. And from what I heard from behind the scenes, everybody inside of Moncrief still believes that Texas, 1, will make the playoff, and 2, deserves to be in the playoff.
Yeah, no, it's just a conversation. I'm starting to believe it too. I think Sark did a good job campaigning on Texas' behalf, because I think he's made some good points, and I think you can make a valid case for or against Texas. It ain't really about what we think. It's about what the committee thinks. And this campaign is to influence the committee. Can you penetrate that? Can that narrative penetrate the committee's thoughts and that influence the rankings tomorrow? We'll talk about that a lot. But first, let's thank our first sponsor of tonight's program, our friends over at South Point Dodge. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. And right now you get employee incentive pricing, which means you pay what the employees pay. It's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount right now at South Point Dodge. Score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. Whether you need a car, truck, trade-in, new, something used, whatever you need, our friends at South Point Dodge pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. So check them out today at southpointdodge.com. All right, let's bring on my man Stevie Lee, because he always comes on every Monday with us, and we appreciate him taking the time. Stevie will get in on this conversation as well about the Longhorns and their playoff hopes and aspirations. Stevie, how was your weekend? How was your holiday weekend?
It was good, man. I woke up at 5 a.m. in Shreveport, Louisiana, jumped in my truck, hightailed it down to Austin to catch the game, man. I was in the stadium live.
Beautiful. Okay, so can you would you rank that among your environments you've been in at DKR, player and fan? Where do you rank that Texas A&M game? I know you've been to a lot of games.
Yeah,
I heard that environment was legit. I heard there was a true fan. That was a true, and I say 12th man, but that was an advantage. The fans gave them a true home field advantage.
Yeah, the problem is they spent so much money that night. I think my ticket's gonna go up next year. Dude, I mean, 100 drones in the sky, fireworks, light show, celebrities on the sideline. Dude, they put on the show. Whoever they hired to do fan experience, it was a great experience. And I think I would rank that number 1, man. Wow. That Alabama game had really good atmosphere, but it was hot as hell out there. But it was a comfortable night, fun. You know, they put us old players up there by the band and the other fans over there. So they started chanting. What's the quarterback's name?
Who? Marcel?
Yeah, Marcel Reed. They just started chanting that right behind us. And so when Arch Manning ran that long touchdown in, we said, Arch Manning. So it was fun going back and forth, man. But it looked like there were some parents around us too for A&M. It was very respectful. I love this rival, man. It should have never left. We need to go to our elected officials and make it a law to play this game on our books. And it should never, ever go away again. This game is great for the state of Texas and both universities.
Wow. That's still strongly for saying put it on the books.
No, in some states it is. Their rivalry games are on the books, and ours should be on the books. That game should never go away.
Go ahead, CJ. Sorry about that.
No, I was going to say that was probably my favorite game atmosphere that I've ever been at DKR for, right? You know, and there's been some big ones, right? USC, you know, Georgia comes to mind. The problem is you didn't have much to cheer for in that Georgia game. So, but boy, didn't in that second half when it really started going, Stevie, it got going. Matthew, if you could bring up my tweet earlier today on Arch Manning, Stevie, I want to get your thoughts on what he's done in the second half of the year. Last 5 games in SEC play, he's knocked off 3 teams currently ranked in the top 13, or at least has had to play those teams. Just what have you mainly taken away from his game and the way that his second half has wrapped up? It's been pretty remarkable.
Man, I really think it's confidence, man. I think it's the confidence in the revamped offensive line. I really do, man. Y'all know I'm a big man, and I'm a put it all on the big man. When the offensive line gelled together, Arch Manning fell into place. You know what I'm saying? So he has a little more confidence that he can get clean. He can step in the throws. He's not, running for his life, and he's checking down into different receivers, man. I really do think it is the offensive line confidence that he has right now. I wish in the first half we would have run the ball a little bit more.
Yep.
I went into halftime thinking, come on, coach, put the ball on the ground. Let's run it, control the clock. And that's what we did. Exactly what we did. But putting it all on Arch, he's had a phenomenal second half of the season. But it's a team effort why he's having that great second half.
Yeah, and it adds to the importance of what Texas needs to, in my opinion, prioritize this offseason. Yep. And so, look, if you're able to walk out next year with an offensive line that from week 1 you feel confident in, hey, there's your quarterback and his confidence as well. But we'll see. There's plenty more that needs to happen before we get to that point.
Well, LSU is giving Lane Kiffin $25 million for a roster. I wonder how much we can get.
Come on now. Hey, I got to ask you about that, Stevie, since you're Louisiana. You're Louisiana through and through, but you represent, obviously, Texas. And, man, that state is just different, especially when it comes to ball. What are your thoughts about Lane Kiffin to LSU? And how much would you bet money on him getting to a national title in 4 years at LSU? You put money
if they're really going to give him $25 million a year for a roster, I think he can do it easily. College football has changed, y'all, and giving them that much money to build a team, they can do it. He's done it. He has a good track record, y'all. Like he's good, and it was, those whole rumors of Sark wanting to go to the NFL and things like that. The first thing that came to my mind is Kiffin to Texas. So I do like him. My wife makes fun of me because I bleed a little bit of purple and gold. I ain't gonna lie to you, just because it's home. Went to those games every other weekend, and so I do like what they're doing down there. And the atmosphere of watching the college football game down there at night is phenomenal as well.
Let me ask you this, because, being in Louisiana, there's a mantra to that. If you play for LSU, you're a tough, physical SOB, right? Mm-hmm. It goes all the way back well before I was alive. But I obviously am, remember the guy of DBs come to mind of Tyrann Mathieu, Pat Pete, and then obviously you get Burrow in 19, and you just get the swagger that comes with I'm the best. My issue with Lane Kiffin is, and Rod, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, I feel like he's a guy that doesn't have that tough SOB program identity. And that comes up too often that prevents Kiffin's teams from, achieving what they needed to achieve, right? I look back specifically at the Kentucky loss last year. They had a top 5 roster, no doubt in my mind. You go out, you spend big money, you get Walter Nolan, Princely Umanmielen. They were stacked, but there's something there that I think misses with Lane Kiffin. So my question to you, is it LSU, the program, that will typically have that culture by itself, or is that something that Kiffin will have to change about himself?
CJ, I'm going to strongly disagree with you.
Okay.
Strongly.
Okay.
I think Lane Kiffin is spot on for that job, man. Getting into it with other players. He was getting into it with other players, talking trash to the OU players. Remember that earlier this year?
Yeah.
Talking trash with the media. I think that he speaks his mind, and I think that he is spot on for LSU down there, man. He's a cleaner Ed Ogeron, right? So he's gonna say what he's gonna say in the media. He's gonna say what he needs to say. I guess to other teams. I think he doesn't care about bulletin board stuff. He pretty much fit for me. He fits down there, man. He's not clean. LSU is not clean. Dirty. You know what I'm saying? So,
dirty, man.
He fits right in, I think, to the LSU mantra, their whole aura about them. Baton Rouge, I think he fits in Baton Rouge. And when he was leaving Ole Miss and they were on the fences cursing them and everything, I think he went on that plane smiling. He loves that, Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be interesting how the identity of LSU is gonna pan out with his NIL money, and then some beasts coming up in Louisiana football and high school football right now. Philip Geiger has a little nephew over at Captain Shreve that's a receiver, and he's doing really, really well. He hadn't made his decision yet, but a lot of people are starting to look at LSU now, man. It's going to be very interesting.
I think it's just the reason it's a fit, because I think I like the point CJ makes, because I think it's about whether Lane Kiffin's philosophy of football has the edge needed, like that edge. And I think LSU's natural kind of the ecosystem of Louisiana and the types of athletes they produce, including yourself, Stevie Lee, those guys they have edge. Louisiana's got plenty of that. One thing that makes them a good fit, Lane Kiffin, LSU, is because neither one minds being a villain. As a matter of fact, LSU likes being the villain of college football, and Lane Kiffin loves being, a villain. And he actually kind of thrives in that role and relishes in that role. And now them together, they'll make a lot of headlines, and then Lane Kiffin doesn't mind being hated, and as long as they win, who cares what Lane is doing? So I don't like Lane Kiffin as the person, but I will admit he's entertaining. All right, he's gonna get you a lot of like free media, which matters these days, right? He's gonna get you a lot of free media and free headlines, and the media loves Lane Kiffin because for media we love cover. He's gonna always give us sound bites over and over again. Lane Kiffin's instant entertainment, and I think he's also instant offense. Something also the LSU, they're not going back to the Saban days where it's all defense. They love offense now. They want offense. That's why they was getting on Brian Kelly. Hey, man, we need more offense now. We're used to them, that Joe Brady, LSU, that Ed Orgeron model. We want that. And nobody's brought more consistent offense, explosive offense in college football than Lane Kiffin over the last 6-7 years. Nobody. Not even Sark. Nobody. And so he's going to bring consistent offense. And I like it. They're going to keep Baker down there for defense. I don't necessarily like Lane Kiffin because he's got a lot of clown in him, and clowns don't win championships usually. Every now and then they do. You know what I mean? Ezra got some clown in him. You can win with a clown show at LSU because you can win with a clown show. That's how much talent they got. You can be a clown and still win championships. Usually, being a clown, you can't win championships. You can only get so far with the clown show, but not at LSU. It's one of those places where, regardless of your clown show, you can still succeed.
I'm with you. I'm glad he brought Baker back. Blake Baker, I think, played at Louisiana Tech, but was a GA at University of Texas, where his brother Bo Baker played. Did you play with Bo Baker? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I grew up with their older with their father Byron Baker in Burnett, Texas. So I've got kind of a connection with him and have known Blake for a long, long time. Good hire for him. But here's a question: does he bring Ed Orgeron back?
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Let's get this clown show started, baby.
Bring on. You're talking about Bozo of the clown show.
He'll get you indoors. You could have never got in.
That's true. I've heard that too. They might want to bring him back. That would be because Art Orgeron. Listen, if he ain't a head coach, you know he can recruit, and you know he can. I mean, you know he can coach. He just got a lot of baggage that came with him down there. From what I heard behind the scenes, that was most of that. Just from what I heard, a lot of stuff going on with Edo. But he was winning, and when you win, and nobody's going, your dirt is safe with the fans. Ask Lane, your dirt is safe with us as long as you're winning. All right, a lot of people know dirt about Texas. That's okay. As long as you're winning, your dirt is usually safe as a coach if you're doing dirt out there. But if you start losing, your dirt start getting out. And that's what happened to Edo. It happened to a lot of them. So
I haven't heard that Edo rumor, man. That's new to me, but now I like it, man. So Ed Orgeron, back then he called himself Bebe Orgeron. And he was at USC recruiting me out of Shreveport, Louisiana, and he was a character, man. I loved him. I would have played for him if he was a little bit closer to Shreveport at the time. So
really,
yeah, man, he recruited me hard for USC, man, to come play defensive line there, man. He would say, hey, you know, I'm from South Louisiana, I'm from South New Orleans. You ain't know it was this town, South New Orleans.
No, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, man.
That's always bring you on. You all got a connection to everything. Yeah, that's why Steve is the man. Great stuff, brother, as always. All right, we won't keep you too long because I know you got stuff to do, but I can talk to you all night. But great stuff, Stevie. Thank you. Oh, one last question. College football playoff. Texas, will they get in or will they be left out?
Man, I want us to be in. Y'all know that. But you got to also ask yourself, man, who do you want to see? You know, over these next 2 months, right? Who do you want to see in the college football playoffs? Texas and Arch Manning, not just Texas. People want to see Arch. They want to see that Manning name in the college football playoffs. So that may help us a little bit. I don't know if it'll happen. If you're asking me to bet on it, I don't think it's going to happen. But I really, really want it to happen, man. I think we need those games for practice. You know, but if we don't do it, we still got bowl practice and things like that. But the short answer is I don't think we're gonna go, but I really, really want us to go. If I can straddle the fence like that.
Yeah. No. I think a lot of Longhorn fans feel like that, brother. Keep hope alive.
I'm keeping hope alive.
Keep hope alive. All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, welcome.
Give that lovely family our best. That's Stevie Lee, my former teammate, lifetime Longhorn. Oh, and he comes on courtesy of our good friends at Hard Girl Roofing. Thank you very much, Matthew. HardGirlRoofing.com with offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. They are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. And right now, if you reach out to our friends at Hard Girl Roofing, 512-645-3202, they're offering a free roof inspection. So leave it to the professionals. Don't try to DIY that. Leave it to the good, fine folks at Hard Girl Roofing. I've met these people. They can be trusted. My friend Stevie Lee would vouch for them as well. Stevie won't be on your roof, but trust me, he does also work with the fine folks at Hard Grove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. Also, let me tell you about our friends over at Von Lane really quickly. Our friends over at Von Lane, folks, a perfect time for you to reach out to our friends over at Von Lane. You're thinking about making those holiday plans, booking for obviously Christmas, and you got some business you got to wrap up, and you're traveling to any of the major cities in and around the great state of Texas, where our friends over at Von Lane can get you there safely and also get you there in the most luxurious fashion. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips for meals. And if you need to relax, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. And if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. So booking is easy. Just go to vonlane.com. Use that code OTF25. You'll save $20 on your first ride with Von Lane. I've actually taken it myself to Houston. I've taken it to Dallas. Actually, some of the OTF family and the Third Longhorn family during our Texas tour. We use the Von Lane to power our Texas tour, and our friends over at Third Longhorn, now they're big fans of it as well. They connect Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, and now Knoxville, the Woodlands, Plano. Visit vonlane.com. Elevated regional bus transportation. No TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience. Takes minutes, not hours. I would highly recommend our friends at Von Lane. All right. let's get to some questions, and I'm sure a lot of them will be about Texas and the college football playoffs. So it'll lead us into that conversation that we can talk about some of Sark's comments from later today. All right, diving right into it. Let's do it. KD35, I am the best. Do you think it's ridiculous the college football playoff changes up their committee each year and gets worse and worse minds making these decisions? Why have rules if you won't follow the criteria? Texas brings money and TV ratings. Okay. All right. I love it. Thank you, KD35. I'm the best. Can we go over some of the principles? Because this has been making the rounds too. This is the committee, how they selected some of the criteria they've thrown out there. So the committee will select the teams using a process that distinguishes among otherwise comparable teams by considering strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, comparative outcomes of common opponents, other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. That is also something that they don't talk enough about, but Texas, like a lot of teams around the country, had key injuries during some of their down performances. Maybe that's something that they'll look at. But, this is what Sark's hoping that they actually are indeed looking at as the criteria, because if so, he's pumping up the big wins and strength of schedule for Texas as the reasons they should get in, the strength of schedule and the big wins. So overall, do you think this is a criteria they follow, or do we think that ultimately this committee goes based on the recent precedent? They kind of go off script with this thing.
Oh,
and is that going to help or hurt Texas?
Well, it should help, right? Strength of schedule, head-to-head competition. Texas should jump Vanderbilt straight away because of that.
I
right?
like that. I agree.
Now, comparative outcomes, Florida doesn't help you there. That's probably the big ding. But when you look at the two other losses and where they sit for Texas right now, can anyone really fault many teams in the entire country if they lose to the number 1 and number 3 teams in the entire land? I tend to think no. Now, that last bullet point's pretty interesting because there's a few schools right now that are going to be pretty severely impacted by and already have been impacted by the coaching carousel, right? It's Penn State currently trying to pick away Kalani Sitake out of BYU. If that's the case, well, BYU is a spot ahead of Texas. Who's to say that won't impact what their performance would be like in the college football playoff? Ole Miss right now, 11-1. They don't have an offensive staff at the moment, right? They had to make a pretty brash and quick decision on who their next head coach would be, and it's Pete Golding. I think he's going to be an all right guy, but look, your whole essential persona of your program, the whole play calling aspect of your team, gone. What does that do for them? We've seen that already with Florida State a few years ago when they lost their quarterback. The committee just kind of spit them up and just spit them away.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we have no more room for you. We don't want to play with you because you're not the shiny toy that you were 3 weeks ago. So it's going to be really interesting. And tomorrow is going to be a very important day for a number of reasons. And before I get onto those, Coach, I want to give you the floor because I've talked quite a bit here.
Oh no, I love hearing it. Just a wealth of knowledge, CJ. Thank you so much. And I think that I agree with everything you're saying. You look at the fact that we had one of our top DBs out against Florida. Certainly could make a difference, in the outcome of that game. But just the excuse me, just the fact that Texas was able to go out and play the schedule that they did, the way that they did, and the elephant in the room, which somebody mentioned earlier on a chat, is that the ratings Texas gives you going into the playoffs is phenomenal compared to any other 10, 11, or 12 team that you could bring in. I know they don't list that as a criteria, but it's a huge part with ticket sales, with TV ratings and all those things. Those are things that, Sark can't go out there and talk about, but we can. Mm-hmm. We can talk about them, and they're huge. Yeah. Huge ramifications on the viewing audience and the tickets sold and the atmosphere of the games.
Absolutely. And again, think of who you are comparing them to. Vanderbilt, who, has had a great season. Nothing to take away from Vanderbilt, but they're not a national attraction. Miami can't fill up their own home stadium as a team that's been in the top 15 for the last 3 years. Texas just played in the number 1 and number 3 most watched games of the entire regular season already. Yeah. Folks care, right? Arch Manning, Texas, the logo, Steve Sarkeesian, folks are going to care about that game. Coach, you made an interesting point, and it goes again back to that last bullet point of availability of key players. And it's so unfortunate that that Texas-Florida game happened when it happened. Because not just did you not have your all-conference SEC quarterback or cornerback in Malik Muhammad, you didn't have him. But Florida also got Dallas Wilson back for 2 games? Mm-hmm. And one of them just happened to be against Texas when he set Florida freshman records for receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and a career debut. Any other week in the schedule, I'm not saying the game's going to be completely different, but I can't sit here and say, man, that's anything but unfortunate from a Texas perspective there. So I do think that last bullet point for me is the most important in regards to Texas moving up in the rankings.
Yeah, no, the conversation about Ole Miss is interesting because, yes, there's been a precedent because of Florida State was in 2023 losing their quarterback, but they got a sample of that, right? Because they played after losing that quarterback. So there's a sample to say, oh, yeah, there's significant drop-off. We know there is going to be significant drop-off offensively without Lane Kiffin and most of the offensive staff for Ole Miss. Yeah. We know that, but we don't have necessarily proof of it. So will the committee decide, hey, there is precedent, although we don't have the proof to justify the move, we believe in common sense here, all right, that, hey, you're not going to be the same team without the head coach and the play caller and your offense being the elite trait of your team, making you, one of the top, 12 teams in the country. So that I don't know if they'll do that. That's a gangster move. Like I said, there's a precedent for it. And like Coach said, maybe it's because they want Texas. Here's a couple of – let's get to the Super Chats. I don't want to just – because we might get to this via the Super Chats. I know you guys want to get to it. So thank you, KD35. I'm the best. Appreciate that. Rocky Poor. I got it here. 20. Thank you, Rocky Poor. We appreciate the Super Chat. Said, heard Sark say, oh, thank you for bringing up a Sark comment. Said, heard Sark say they will review out-of-conference games. This scares the NCAA if Texas starts canceling big games. It will make others do the same, and this impacts money for the networks. Don't discount the power that has for Texas and college football playoff. Rocky, thank you for making that point, and it is a powerful one because I don't think people realize that Texas has already made moves, whether it be the Longhorn Network. I'm talking about just, moves that have this domino effect all across college football, this butterfly effect across college football, whether you're talking about Longhorn Network or you're talking about the jump to the SEC. I mean, these things have sparked realignment, have sparked all kind of stuff, right? Hell, some people say that's why the Aggies started the conversation about the Aggies moving. It was like, LHN, what the hell is that? Boom, we're getting out of here. And so if the Longhorns do decide, if they get, let's say hypothetically, they get screwed out of the college football playoff here. Now Texas, sorry, we don't care about your top 10 wins. We don't care about any of that stuff. You're out. And Texas goes, okay, as a result. And by the way, when CDC was asked about it, he said when he was asked about whether they would change their out-of-conference scheduling and stop scheduling these big powerhouse matchups versus blue bloods like Ohio State and, obviously like Michigan. He said it's not worth answering. It's not worth answering yet about that question about today. It's not worth answering today. Meaning, I'm not saying we won't stop it, but we may not even have to answer it if they let us in. I think that's what he's saying. Like, hey, we may not even have to, go in that direction. We may not have to press the button. Sark essentially has almost basically openly hinted and implied that he is supporting them changing their out-of-conference scheduling. He said it on multiple shows, and you said he went on Feinbaum, he went on Colin Cowherd, SEC this morning, he was on FS1, he was all over the place. And multiple times did bring up the fact that they might have to reconsider their scheduling and out-of-conference if they indeed are left out of the college football playoff. It is big because Texas has, as I said, they've made these moves before that have had these long-term macro effects on the rest of college football. If you stop scheduling those sexy games and other teams stop doing it too, it definitely is the broad, obviously the networks will hate it. But the fans, they'll probably end up hating it too. But Texas fans don't care. All they care about is the playoffs. So what is everybody's thoughts? Coach, I want your thoughts first because you're a coach. And this essentially is Sark saying, hey, we got to do what's best for us. And what may be best for us is reconsidering our out-of-conference scheduling. If we're left out of the playoff. What are your thoughts about it? I'm saying high school football, this happens a lot, actually. Because there's a way to do you schedule a big time.
But it doesn't affect you in high school because they don't count that record against you.
Right.
All they count is your conference games, your district games in Texas. And so that's a formula that's interesting in and of itself, putting more weight on conference games and non-conference games, but it still leads you towards playing an easier schedule. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If Texas does not get in, look for them to change their pre-conference scheduling. It would make no sense for them to keep playing the people that they're playing if the selection committee is going to hold that against us. I certainly think we're good enough to be in the top 12. I'll take number 12. I'm not picky. I don't care. Just let us play. Yeah. This team, we hope, is peaking right. We've said that before. Okay, only to be let down. But it does seem like this team is kind of pulling everything together at the right time. It'd be a great time for us to make a run in the playoffs. But I certainly understand the fact that, the Florida loss, Ohio State loss, Georgia loss, those things add up. So I understand if we don't make it. I don't think it's right. But if we don't make it, then you definitely have to rethink your pre-conference schedule.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed from a few years ago, right? When Texas was still a part of the Big 12, they needed a key out-of-conference win to bolster their resume. Only 4 teams get in. There's no guarantee even then that Texas, had they won the Big 12 but suffered a loss along the way, that they were a surefire make of the playoff, right? Now, as things have expanded to 12 and, again, eventually to 16, we all think, there's no reason to put yourself at any risk for an additional loss when you still have 9 SEC games left to be played. And that's why I think if you're Texas, you say, well, what are we doing here scheduling Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, all of these schools who are also going to be in conversation for the the college football playoff. If you can take away a game that could be anything other than a 80-20% chance of winning for you, you're doing yourself a big service there. Anything other than that, you're putting yourself at risk. And we've already seen it. Because there are 12 teams that make the playoff, you win that game, you don't gain anything more than if you don't play that game. There's no difference of winning that game versus not playing that game. The only difference is if you lose that game, you now have a mark on your record that nobody else in the top 12, top 15, anybody in this conversation has. And that's
and that's teams that are playing Savannah State and these other schools.
Correct. Well, we saw it, Coach. Indiana looked at Virginia before the season and said, we don't want to play Virginia. We don't know what might happen if we go up to Eugene and lose that game. But if we lose to Virginia and we have 2 losses, well, our schedule's not going to back it up. Instead, they take Virginia off. They add it to Old Dominion. And, well, look, you play Kennesaw State, Old Dominion, and, the sister of the poor down the street. And, hey, it doesn't matter. So until they start collectively aligning all of these non-conference games as well, there's just no reason to put yourself at the risk of playing these non-conference games, regardless of the ratings or whatever comes as a result of, the revenue there.
Yeah. And it's crazy that Sark said in August, when he was being asked about the Ohio State game, that he actually said he thought they would be rewarded for it, whether they won or lost. He said that. He's like, I think we'll be rewarded for it and not punished for it. So it would be ironic if ultimately they end up being punished for it. And he thought, no, they're going to reward us for just playing this game. The committee is going to reward us for playing this game, for being courageous.
How about rewarding us for the way we played the game?
That
we
too.
Had over 200 yards more offense than Ohio State did.
Y'all gained them. Okay. You know, when the teams are outgained, how I want to say they lost, man, over 90% of the games when teams were outgained by like 100 yards. They lost like over 90% of those games. And Texas lost that game. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a great point, Coach. And that was Sark's point too. Sark was like, are they watching the games? Or are they just looking at the score and the box score? And then he brought up several. And this is how you know Sark politicking. I'll give Sark some credit. He actually threw a couple of coaches under the bus or programs under the bus. Didn't he, CJ? He brought up that
he took a shot at Miami.
He did. He took a shot at Miami because they were trying to run up the score on was a pick late in the game. And he brought up Notre Dame losing early on in their season to Northern Illinois. He brought those up. But Sark usually doesn't do that. He just tries to stay away from specific examples of other programs and other teams, but nah, politicking, baby. And I'll give Sark a lot of credit. He's done a lot of politicking lately. Some he wanted to do, that he wants to do this right here, and some he didn't want to do. Desmond Howard report, Diana Rossini report. And that's the thing about being a coach at Texas. You're going to have to put on that politician hat at one time. And I will tell you this, he wears it well.
Yeah.
I will tell you, some people don't. Tom Herman didn't wear the politician hat well. Yeah, I don't know if I want. You know what I mean? You gotta. Do people want to vote for you? Mac? Nobody would be better than Mac. Mac, like Darrell K. Royal. Those guys could have literally ran for office and probably would have won. All right, got votes on both sides. That's how you know you can wear the politician hat really well. Sark's better at it than I thought. We hadn't had to see him do it very often. This year he's had to do it a lot.
Yeah,
he's doing it pretty well. But Sark did say about the schedule, if we're just going to look at records, I've got to reevaluate our future schedules because I have to do what's in the best interest of the University of Texas. Said that on the Cowherd Show. All right, thank you, Rocky, for that. Next super chat from Keenan. Arch has shown that he has the toughness of Eli and athletic ability of Grandpa Archie. Will or is he developing the processing and football IQ of Peyton? Damn, that's good, Keenan. Well, I just like the take. I'm jealous. That's a good take. That's a good one. What are your thoughts, CJ? Because I know you actually just put out a really interesting tweet. We brought that up earlier. You put it out there earlier about the development of Arch. And we did a video, actually. Jeff and I did a video, too, about the development of Arch. But, CJ, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I thought at times against Texas A&M, we saw some of that IQ come to play, right? Especially that final possession before halftime when Arch is under pressure almost immediately, and he's trying to find a way to throw the football, kind of dirt it to save a sack. And obviously got downed for an intentional grounding in the process. But there were 3 plays almost back to back in that final minute where it looked like Arch was saying, hey, I understand what the situation is. We don't have many timeouts left. I can't take a sack here. I got to get rid of the football. And that's the growth. That's the football IQ. Obviously the development the athleticism is there. We've seen that time and time again. That was on display once again when he was moving the chains with his legs so easily against A&M as well. The durability is one thing that I think for Arch this year hasn't been made enough or given enough credit for. He's taken some absolute hits, man. And there aren't many quarterbacks who I think would continue to get up after how often he's been hit, especially at some of the level in which he's been hit and how hard he has been hit. But my goodness, it gets me very excited for next year, knowing that you get a full year of an offseason. We already see it with these numbers up on the board here. Those are elite. You're playing 3 top 15 teams and still finding a way to throw for an average of 300 yards against 5 pretty good SEC teams. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. The one thing that I'm still holding out for, and I don't think it's a fault of Arch's because we've seen glimpses of it, but it's the progressions. And I think part of that comes with a better offensive line, knowing that you have time in the pocket to go from a true 1 to 2 to 3 to a check down. And even then, that's not an easy thing to do in the SEC. He's been good at it. All the while, if he takes care of the football the way that he has, he's going to put up some major numbers, and Texas is going to be very, very darn good next year.
Yep. What I like about talking about the IQ thing, his decision making has gotten better. I agree with CJ about getting through progressions. I think that's something that he improved on, and I think it'll get better, especially with better pass protection. But man, 7 interceptions all season long, and only 2 of those since week 7. Man,
yeah.
In terms of his taking care of the football, he was I mean, it was mind-blowingly right responsible with the football.
I don't think A&M put a hand on the ball on Friday night.
Like considering that the O-line has been, outside the top 120 in pass and pressure rate allowed most of the season. I think they were 115th in pressure rate allowed before the A&M game. I'm not sure what they are. I haven't looked it up, but I know they were bottom 10 in the Power 4 in pass efficiency blocking by Pro Football Focus. Your O-line has been a problem. It improved, but it's been a problem all year. But his decision-making got a lot better throughout the year. He had a 6.9 turnover worthy play rate in the first 7 weeks, which is just supposed to be around 2% or something like that, guys. 2%, 3%, somewhere around there. 6.9% is really, really high. The last 6 games, guys, he was less than 1%.
Wow.
In the last 6 games, he had 0 turnover worthy plays in 5 of them. Georgia was the only game where he had turnover worthy plays, according to Pro Football Focus, in the last 6 games.
It's pretty good.
It's unbelievable. So and sacks too. Like I think sack avoidance he's really good at too. I mean, you had how many sacks in the last 4 games? 4 sacks in the last 4 games. 3 of those came against Georgia. Your pass protection, he's improved and improved that much. A lot of those, he's just getting out of the way. His scrambling ability is really good, and his pocket presence has really improved too. So I'm with CJ, man. I'm really excited and giddy. Have you heard what Nate Tice said? Nate Tice, who's a draft analyst, said
a 1-1 for this year.
Yeah, he said based on the last 4 or 5 games for Arch, I'd put him at 1-1 overall this year. And I went, oh no, don't start it again. Just don't do it again. Let's just enjoy this right now. Let's just enjoy Arch playing really well. But that's how well he's playing. All right. Aloha Traveler, getting back to it. Aloha Traveler, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. And I wish I was where you are. Thoughts on Urban Meyer saying get rid of the committee? Oh, I didn't hear that. He said, get rid of the committee. He said it's the only billion-dollar business being run by volunteers. He said leaving Texas out means team shouldn't schedule big out-of-conference games. Wow. Oh, man, that's good. I know Urban Meyer was campaigning on Texas' behalf that much. What are your thoughts about it? I mean, how would you get rid of the committee? What are your thoughts about it? Well, you got to have hard line kind of criteria after that.
Back to a certain computer metric model.
Oh, no. Chat GPT takes over the BCS.
We'll call it, Grok CS is what it'll be.
You'd think they would appreciate that because they wouldn't have to take the blame that way.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
But then you'd see teams instead of coaches going out and parading and, politicking for their teams on TV like Sark has been, and again, rightfully so. You'd see that on the field with what Miami was trying to do, saying, hey, we got to stretch these leads out as much as possible to make our wins look better on the model. And I'd be for it. I like that.
The only real solution, and listen, there's no perfect solution. Nothing's ideal. You just got to expand the playoffs. You just have to expand the playoffs. And then we'll have fewer of these conversations to worry about. You just have to expand it. I know some people hate that, but there's a reason NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, everybody's expanded their playoffs. Everybody. Expand the playoffs, and then you'll have fewer of these issues to worry about, and then the ratings will go up because you'll have more people invested in the season because they know their team has a better chance to make the playoffs, and you won't have to worry about the committee. Yeah, you can still have a committee, but then you will make it an easier job for them. Like it'll be a no-brainer pretty much. I mean, they'll be arguing over who is I don't know how much you want to expand. You can go 16, but even after 16, you probably should expand it a little bit more. You got a lot of teams in college football, guys.
Here's the problem though. How do you expand the playoffs with a committee who has a vested interest in particular teams or particular conferences? That's the problem. There's human errorism, I guess, when you have a committee who want their conference or their team or whatever it is to be successful, in this. And so to keep Texas out benefits a lot of teams and a lot of other people to say that we are not as irrelevant as we appear to be. But I think they're wrong, but I don't know. Just a thought.
No, You're right about that. Maybe that's his point about the committees. Like, you're always going to have bias and conflicts of interest with that kind of stuff. Aloha Traveler with another one. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. Double thanks. Says, of all the issues needing to be addressed, we need to go all in on fixing the O-line and running game in the portal is the one thing truly keeping us from taking the next step and beating Georgia and Ohio State. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. Thoughts, Coach? What are your thoughts about that? What's your major project in the offseason?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And there's not a position that doesn't need to be upgraded in my mind.
Correct.
But you got to start with the offensive line. You've got to get a great running back, got to get a great receiver. You got to shore up the defense. But without a doubt, you've got to take care of the offensive line. Or, what's if you don't take care of the offensive line, I don't want to be a downer, but what's the motivation for Arch to come back and keep getting what he's been getting?
That's a great point.
And you're going to keep getting what you've always got until you change what you've been doing, And we did not seek help in the transfer portal last season in the offensive line. This is an opportunity for us to make a statement to Arch saying we are committed to you. We are committed to giving you protection. We're committed to amping up our running game. All those things, I think, play a big part in his decision to come back. And I'm sure that he will. But it'd be a much easier decision if he knew that the coaches were going to take care of him with his offensive line, running back, and wide receivers.
I couldn't agree more, Coach. And we talked about it. You have a 2-year window, you believed, coming into this year with Arch Manning. You should do everything in your power to maximize that window. And look, I know Andre Kojo goes down. He could have been a piece for that offensive line considering how it all played out. But the fact that no one was brought in to bolster what you thought was needing to be the strength after replacing 4 starters a year ago, it feels like a bit of a malpractice. Now, it has to be priority number 1, number 2, and number 3 in the portal this year. I think you take even 4 offensive linemen just to make sure, because again, if you go down with an injury and you're in a similar spot as this year, then what's the point? You failed yourself once again in finding ways to create running lanes for your running back in which you're either running for 500 or 50 yards or about 150, right? You shouldn't need the number 1 running back in the class to have a successful running game. And that's kind of where it's been for Texas over the last 2 years. I went to PFF numbers. I know some folks are going to roll their eyes here. The bottom 5 pass blocking efficiency scores of SEC teams this year. You had 5-7 Kentucky, 5-7 Mississippi State, 5-7 Auburn, and 15th place was 9-3 Texas, and then you had 4-8 South Carolina coming in last.
Damn.
So none of those teams are bowl eligible, except for Texas, who we're sitting here saying is good enough to play in the college football playoff. Imagine if this was just even a mediocre offensive line, right? They'd pass the eye test a little bit easier. They'd be able to run the football, probably be able to protect or score on the 1-yard line after 4 attempts against Ohio State, right? It's stuff like that over an entire 12-game season, it just adds up. And that's, again, if it's not corrected in the portal over the next 2 months, then why should I believe that it's going to be any different next year on the field? I just can't lend myself to think that direction, knowing that, hey, you're once again probably going to need to replace 3 guys. Mm-hmm. So it has to be the top 1, 2, 3, and probably even number 4 priority for me in the portal.
Yep, all in for Arch. That's your transfer portal. All in for Arch, baby. All right, I like it. Next super chat here is from T. Austin, 6394. We appreciate that. Said, how does Sark and the team know about CJ's score prediction? Proof that Sark watches OTL. Yes, I told you. Coach, did you hear that? Did you get a chance to hear it, Coach?
No.
Oh,
good.
Man. CJ got called out by Sark. Oh, he said, CJ, we knew you picked the Aggies. He said, we knew. The coaches knew and the players in the locker room knew too that you picked that. He said that in front of the media and the world pretty much. CJ, I told CJ that's clout, brother. When Sark knows you and calls you out because of your opinion, and your job is to have an opinion and a hot take, means your opinion matters even to the man. So well done, CJ. Well done.
Hey, thanks.
Woo, my little Hercules.
Your opinion was wrong. You wasn't right. Coach was. Coach was right, but that's all right. Don't matter. Now, what matters is he knows. He's listening.
Hey, and I'm all for it. Look, if I can sit here on a show with all of you guys and call out Sark for play calling or rosters, assembly. I mean, who am I to sit here and say, hey, I can't receive that same criticism from Sark for how I do my job, right? That is totally fair game by me. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. All it tells me is I've got to find some way to be a better predictor of games. So.
This team was tough to predict, though. I had one of my worst years predicting a team, too. Coach.
That's what I should have done. I should have listened to Coach.
Listen to Coach. I listened to Coach because Coach was real. I'm telling you, remember we talked, I say, Coach is like borderline arrogant that they go, he's like, I'm not worried about this game. They going to beat him. Like, how they going to beat him, Coach? I don't know. They going to beat him. That's literally what Coach said. I was like, Coach knows something. And turns out he knew. Coach got a good gut for football.
I tell you what, I was sitting at halftime saying, hey, I might have been right on with this one.
Yeah, no, at halftime, I was like, I'm wrong. Damn it. I'm wrong. But Coach was owed the money. All right. All right. Here it says, the country already has an irrational hate for Texas. We get in the playoff with 3 losses. OMG. You are right. Texas already is kind of the dark, if you would. It's already the evil enterprise, if you will, to a lot of folks out there. And it'll be even more so. The villain.
We get in. Hey, we get in. We better win that game. We better win that game if we get in.
Well, they're going to – Jerry made this point, too. You get in, you're basically a wild card. You're the – you know what I mean? So you're going to be playing on the road way away from home.
Probably the number 5 team. Who's that going to be?
Whoever – yeah. He said you'll go to Oregon. That's what he said.
You can go to Texas Tech.
Who's losing their offensive coordinator, by the way? Will
point,
Stein,
Coach.
my old buddy from Texas. I worked with him at Texas. He's taking the Kentucky job. So,
okay.
So I'm assuming that Oregon will be without their offensive coordinator.
I believe he's going to coach through the playoffs and then take over after their run. But I'm with you, Coach. He was, I believe, at Lake Travis not too long ago. Yeah. Fantastic coach before going to UTSA. I think Kentucky is going to be in a great spot with him.
Yeah. No, he's a fast riser, too, because he hadn't been there that long. I mean, not too long. He was at UTSA. All right. Thank you for the super chat. How about this one from Trevor? Trevor says, I got this weird feeling the committee is going to do some wild tomorrow night. I think they know Texas clears many teams in front of them. I know we've had a few folks predict that they're going to put Texas in. They're going to jump Texas so high that Texas is automatically going to be in. And you can justify, and like Coach said, they know it's a ratings monster. It's already going to be a ratings monster. Without Texas, people are going to watch the playoffs and you'll get big numbers. But with Texas in there, you're going to get even bigger numbers. There just ain't no doubt about it because you got Arch, you got the Texas brand, and people watch Texas. There are more people watching Texas because they want them to lose than watching them because they want them to win. They got that Cowboys factor to them where people hate watching them. So they get big numbers, not because everybody loves them, because most people hate them. Still get big numbers.
There's 2 things tomorrow that would go a long way for Texas to make the playoff. Texas, if they are ranked higher than Vanderbilt, that's a great sign. Texas, if they're ranked higher than Miami, well, there's your path. Is if you jump both teams after beating number 3 Texas A&M by 2 scores. If that's the case right there, you have a legitimate chance. Come 1 week later when all the dust settles and BYU and Texas Tech play, and it'd be great if Georgia, put a big old whooping on Alabama as well. But your point is you need to be ahead of Vanderbilt because the committee's right now last week saying, hey, we still believe Vanderbilt's a better team than Texas with them being ranked higher. If they show any inclination that Texas jumps Vanderbilt, their 3 wins over top 10 teams, that's going to be on the table and weighed significantly higher than what we maybe have thought.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown, CJ. Appreciate that. All right. Michael with a super chat here says, and a clear hold on that Gator touchdown. Just say it. Michael can't let it go. Don't let it go, Michael. Let it go. Just let it go. He's still thinking about it. It was a clear hold on that touchdown. Trust me. I feel you. I can remember some plays now that's hard to stop thinking about them. Thank you for the super chat, though. Perry here says, I guess, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Perry. I guess New Mexico State will be put on speed dial. Yeah, I mean, they still have to schedule at least another power opponent on top of the 9 conference games, right? they still have to. I believe that's an SEC rule, if I'm not mistaken. They still got to have a power opponent, but it don't have to be. You don't have to have the power opponent in Ohio State.
Right.
Like that. So yeah, probably could just pick a lower tier Big 12 ACC team.
People saying we're calling Boston College.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the lower tier. Give me the worst teams over the last 5-6 years in every power conference, and then head into the CDC. Here you go, brother. Get him. Call those teams right there, and we'll be fine. Yeah, I mean it sucks. Matter of fact, hear about this from Jose. He says, "Give me Ohio State, Michigan at home first, then I'm on board. I understand waiting does nothing to send a message, and those might help if this thing goes to 16-24. But I want return on investment for the last two. Man,
can't disagree. Texas had to play so many road games there, and you got robbed of LSU at home. You might as well see it through, right?
Yeah, that's because you missed that LSU. That was supposed to be a good road trip.
Yeah,
I mean, folks were looking forward to that. There was a COVID basically messed up your LSU road trip, didn't it? Wasn't that a COVID thing? I believe that was a COVID year. So yeah, but you're right about. Listen, I've met very few fans that are on board with keeping the out of conference schedule what it is if Texas doesn't make the playoffs, and it is sad, honestly, that because everybody in college football should be looking forward to those matchups in the offseason. And we talked all offseason about Texas, Ohio State. What the hell are we going to talk about if they don't play one of those games? San Jose State, Houston State. When we talk about UTEP all offseason, give me a break. Exactly. All right. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. MRJ62 says, why is everyone assuming OU is in? They're behind UT in SEC standings and lost head to head. I think Joe Klatt talks about this, said he doesn't think OU should be everybody kind of a no-brainer they're in. I do believe they're in. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, the resume may not be impressive, but they kind of reached a benchmark, which is, can you get to double-digit wins in the power conference, which is hard to do. And if you do that, you get a lot of influence.
Yeah.
In those rankings. So,
like they started off the season so strongly, right? The win over Michigan was perceived to be a big win. Michigan's not a terrible team. Auburn at the time was perceived to be a big win. Auburn is a terrible team. Now you get to 10 wins in the SEC and you take care of business. Look, that's not nothing, right? Yeah. And I know Oklahoma's looked very poor on the offensive side lately, but that defense is still very legit. They win games because of their special teams, because of their defense. I'm not sure for anybody who watched that LSU game on Saturday, but they're just taking up a spot in the playoff. I mean, the quarterback has been horrible. The offense has been abysmal. They don't have the playmakers that can overcome a bad quarterback. So they're just taking up a spot, and I'm sure their offseason will begin 1 week after Texas's does.
Yeah, they don't have an offense that's going to be able to compete in the playoff. That's their big problem. The defense it's a championship caliber defense, but the offense is struggling. Yeah.
Real quick, Rod, Coach, I want to share this with you guys because I said in the week leading up to A&M, Marcel Reed's not a guy that fears me, right? He's not a guy that fears me, but I think he does enough to get the ball into his playmakers' hands. Sorry, it's not the one I wanted to bring up. Ed B says A&M and Oklahoma are going to be steamrolled in the playoff. I actually went through some of these top 50 opponents that A&M had played this year. Defensively, let me find the numbers real quick. I've got them for you. In 6 top 50 defensive games, so 6 games against top 50 defenses this year, Marcel Reed in straight dropbacks, 56% completion, 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 7.4 yards per attempt. That's pretty darn bad. Play action, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 63%. That's exactly what Texas forced him to do. Hey, we're stopping your run. We're going to force you to throw the football. That's the recipe. You play tight man coverage and force this guy to throw the ball into tight windows. You have no chance to move the football if you're A&M. You have none unless these guys break 3 different tackles and take off. That's what they did against Notre Dame. But that's my TED Talk is, boy, they're so beatable. Both of those teams are, and it starts with their quarterbacks not being who maybe we thought they could be this season.
Yeah, the problem in him is there's only a few schools that have the athletes to really execute that game plan, but now you're playing against all of them.
That's exactly it. Margins are
yeah, exactly. You played against one this last game of the season, and now all of the teams in the playoffs got those kind of caliber athletes. That's an issue for you. All right. Last super chat. Before we do that, let's thank our last sponsor. Actually, before we get to our last super chat, our friends over at South Point Dodge. You can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. That's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount. You pay what the employees pay. You won't find a better deal than that, thanks to our friends at South Point Dodge. So go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com, whether you need a car, a truck, something new, something used, a trade-in. Our friends at South Point Dodge pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. Go see for yourself at southpointdodge.com. All right, I like this last question or comment. I think it's good. Really good. Thank you very much, Heath Parsons. We appreciate the super chat. Says, really? Play all. Want to be a dog? Be one. Heard you guys talk this year about being physical and mentally tough. Let's not say we get in because Manning's and TV ratings. That's why Texas is hated. Get hard. Get hard. Remix. Remix. Well done, Matthew. Well done. This is, like I said, most fans don't feel this way, but I'm glad we do have this perspective on the channel. Should Texas have a different mentality? We always say what starts here changes the world. Should Texas have? No, we do this for our fans. We give our fans out of conference, and we still make the playoffs. All right, because we are different. We are built different. All right. Now, should Texas have that mentality and not have the mentality of, oh, no, we need to, kind of gerrymander our, rig our schedule to make sure we get double-digit wins. No, our schedule is what our schedule is. We play it because we are Texas. Nope. Not convincing enough? Yeah. Nobody cares about that anymore?
There's just – when it comes down to you playing a team that no one else in the country plays, who is the number one team in the country, you're just doing yourself a disservice. And you can put the Longhorn logo on and pound your chest and say, hey, we're Texas, we're different. But you're not helping yourself. And that's where my biggest gripe with this is it just doesn't benefit you in any way possible to schedule any more of these games. Just doesn't.
I feel you, but I thought it was a good point though. If you want to have that mentality, you don't want to be soft, get hard. We're gonna end it on that note.
Yeah, take a joy mode on that, Matthew.
Get hard in the playoffs. Yes, no doubt. You better be ready to go. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for all the super chats. You guys were fantastic tonight. I apologize we couldn't get to all of your questions. If we missed any of them, we apologize about that. But please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That will be and that's my exit, right? That's a great. Oh man, Marcus Myers, good to see you out there, baby. And if we'll Coffee and Football 8:15 tomorrow morning with Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Also, tomorrow we'll have our Tuesday live stream with the amazing Amanda Atwell and CJ Vogel. And, of course, Jeff
don't miss that one tomorrow. College football playoff release. We're going to be having a lot of conversation with where Texas comes up.
Oh, that's right. So that is going to be a must watch, actually. That's going to be must watch. I'll be tuning in for that one, too. Make sure you do as well. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the best in the business. Can't do it without Matthew. He's the real MVP. Coach, we appreciate the wisdom and the expertise. CJ, you're the man, brother. That's why Sark recognizes your predictions, even when they're wrong. All right, because you are the man.
They are, fellas.
Thank you guys for watching and for listening. For CJ, for Coach, for Matthew, I'm Rod Vapors. Until next time, hook 'em horns. I'll be watching. I hope so.